So first and foremost, how do you start with creating great content? The first step that you need, if you're struggling with what even to talk about on your streams, the first step is to get out a pad of paper. I want you to get out a pad of paper. I'm not showing you the other side because I don't know what's written on there. Actually, these were my Lita. This was my Lita brainstorm, actually, the topics for Lita. So it's right on point. So I just wrote down everything I could think of for creating content that was relevant to the topic at hand. And when you are brainstorming, I want you to get off the computer. I want you to get distraction free. I want you to sit down in your own little space and just start writing. And there's no right, there's no wrong. You'll have a ton come out. So the question you ask yourself is, what do I know about this topic that I'm speaking about? And you just start writing. Now, one thing that you're going to discover is a problem as you're brainstorming is that you are going to be like, oh, that's too basic. Ooh, that's like everybody knows that. Nobody needs to hear me talk about that. And I want you to keep writing it down because it is very important. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to keep going through the the brainstorming process. You could totally do a whiteboard as well, up to you. But for me, the handwritten process of a pad and a paper, and for most people, is incredibly effective. And then so just keep going there, right? Once you've just all the things that you can think of that you know about your subject, then I want you to go on to Facebook. I know we all have our problems with Facebook. We love Facebook, we hate it. Some days, it's all over the place. But Facebook groups or Reddit or YouTube comments or channels or whatever, wherever you want to go. But Facebook groups I'm just gonna use as an example because they're really effective. Find groups that are relevant to the topic that you are speaking about and that are kind of the same audience that you're looking for. Do not promote inside of the group. But what I want you to do is go into the Facebook group and there's a search bar. Search for keywords around your topic. And you will discover gold. Because these are real people asking real questions around the topic that you know something about. And you will understand how they're approaching it in their own brain. If you do this enough and consistently, you will understand what your potential audience is struggling with when it comes to your topic. And you'll hear it in their own words, and that is gold. So when we speak about what our audience is needing help with, even if it's not, tutorials, how-to, educational content, when we speak in their language, they're going to feel like we hear them much more, right? And so it'll be an instant connection. So if you're gonna create content, you gotta get out of your own brain and you gotta get in their brain. So so I want you to really dive into that. You can actually help answer some questions too while you're at it. But it is a great place to research. If you do answer questions, please do not promote. That's just terrible etiquette in any group, but it will kind of create your expertise in an environment that is relevant to your topic and to your ideal audience, right? So that's how you start to discover the content that you want to create, and then what you want to look at, hold on. Before I get to the 3 questions that I promised you, because these are the 3 questions that I think are the most important questions you need to ask yourself. But before we get to that, I want to go backwards and talk about the whole basic thing. So when you are creating content, you feel like you want to speak to people at a higher level because you know so much. Your level of knowledge is way up here, but you're speaking to people whose level of knowledge is way down here. And that's just the natural progression of these things. I don't want you to try and reach people who are up here because you have fewer people to talk to. If you think about it in a triangle, an upside down triangle, the bigger portion of people that are available to you to reach in your content are way up here. And then as they advance, there are fewer of them, right? So if you are speaking at an advanced level, it actually is detrimental to your audience growth, because if somebody comes in there and they're like, whoa, this is way too advanced, I just need to get started, then they won't be interested in your content. So this comes, a lot of people have just a lot of issues mentally, like mental blocks when it comes to that, creating that basic content. So I really want you to go ahead and free your mind from that and say, the more basic, the better. So you don't have to present it as basic, right? But you do have to present it so that people can understand it. All right, so yes, exactly. And I just want to point this out. Michael is absolutely correct. And then you create online courses to speak to the people as they progress, and make sure that they have that foundation, right? So your content, your free content, is that top level, getting access to the most amount of people that you can, and then you can drill them down into a course or whatever service or product you have that's relevant to take them down that next step. But that's an entirely different conversation. We can cover that more in depth if you guys want. Yes. CK says, free your mind, the rest will follow for sure. All right, so the 3 questions I want you to ask yourself, you're looking at the list, you've logged, written down in a spreadsheet, whatever. Yes, I have a spreadsheet that our entire team kind of works off of, feeds into based on where people are struggling, what the things are that people are saying that they need help with. And when I'm creating content, guess what? I'm referring to my brainstorm sessions as well as those spreadsheets. So that is where you will create content that matters. And that's really what we want to do at the end of the day, right? Secondly, then once you've chosen a topic, ask yourself these 3 questions. 1, what does my audience want to know? That's a very important question. You've looked at that from the information that you've gathered by the Facebook groups or wherever you're gathering this info. That's what they want to know, okay? Then you need to ask yourself, what do they need to know? Want and need, 2 very different things in a lot of cases, not every case, but people want something, they think they want something, but they really need to know something else, right? So I'll give you a perfect example in our own content. People want to create professional live video. They want their streams to look amazing. They want to feel confident on camera. They want everything to look like our streams do. I can't even say that when I don't have my set background fixed yet. I can't even say I look good right now. I have way too much light back there. But you know, like those of you who are new around here, you don't know what we usually look like, but this is a temporary set background. Anyway, I just had to say that. So people they come to us wanting to have amazing looking video. But what's the truth behind that they need to know? Well, for us, that truth is having amazing looking video takes a little while to set up. And it takes some cost investment, not huge, but depending on where they are in their budget, they may not be able to accomplish it today. So what they need to know is that it doesn't have to be perfect, right? So it doesn't need to be the epitome of production right off the bat before you get started. And so that's the difference. What they want to know is how to get that awesome video. What they need to know is that getting that awesome video is absolutely possible. By the way, we do have a studio workshop where we teach you how to actually create that amazing professional looking video. That's at livestreamingpros.com/studio. And I don't see my little video here to play. But so what they need to know is that that is possible. We even help them do that, but they also need to know that it's gonna take a little bit. Like, they can do it quickly, but don't wait to get started to actually get going live, right? So you have to balance in your content what they want to know and what they need to know. So start with what they want to know and then remind them what they need to know. Because if you start with what they need to know first, they probably will not click on your video because that's not what they want to know. Yeah? So those are the first two questions. And then the third question is, what do they not need to know? This is the hardest part to content creation, is removal of information. And I can't remember where this one question came from. I'm going to guess it was Amy Porterfield. But what do they not need to know? That is just as important as the other two questions, if not more. Because when you start to help people and talk to them, a lot of times you're filling in a lot of information that's in this brain because you know it. You know all of this advanced stuff. You know all of the intricate details. But they're not ready for that yet necessarily. So you need to ask yourself, what am I thinking about, talking about that is too advanced or not relevant to where they are right now and what they need and want? Yeah? So I hate when I say that. Yeah? Are we together? Are we on the same page here? So those are the three questions, and I really hope that you can start to ask yourself those questions each and every time you start to create content. That will make your content way more valuable, more relevant, more engaging, and you'll get what you need at the end of the day, an audience that really appreciates the content that you're creating.